My stepmom convinced my dad to put my childhood home in her name, saying, "It's only fair." They renovated and hosted a lavish housewarming party, telling guests it was always meant to be ours. I showed up, smiled, and said, "Enjoy the celebration, because the bank won't be too happy when they see this foreclosure notice." The setup: I grew up in a house that held more than just memories. It was the place my mom and dad bought together when they were newlyweds, back when they still believed in forever. It was the place where I had my first birthday party, where I lost my first tooth, where my dad taught me how to ride a bike on the cracked driveway. It was home. Then, my mom passed away. Cancer. It took her fast, and by the time we had processed what was happening, she was gone. I was 18. Old enough to understand grief, but too young to know what to do with it. Dad was devastated. He wasn't perfect, but he loved my mom. And for the first year after she passed, it was just us. We were navigating the loss together. Then, out of nowhere, he met her. Her name was Vanessa. I won't call her a wicked stepmother because that would imply she had a level of dramatic flair. No, Vanessa was the kind of evil that's quiet. The kind that slithers its way into your life while smiling sweetly and asking if you need anything. She and my dad got married 2 years after Mom died. And, slowly but surely, she started sinking her claws into everything. The betrayal: at first, it was little things. She redecorated the house, getting rid of my mom's favorite things because they were too outdated. Then, she convinced my dad to make her a co-owner of their bank accounts because it was only fair. By the time I turned 24, she had my dad wrapped around her finger. And that's when she made her move. I had moved out by then, but I still visited my childhood home every week. One evening, I came over for dinner, and I noticed something strange: a "for sale" sign on the lawn. I thought it was a mistake. But when I walked inside, my dad sat me down and said they had made a decision. "We're selling the house, kiddo," he said, avoiding my eyes. I stared at Vanessa. She smiled. "But this is our house," I said. "Mom and you, this was your house." "Well, now it's our house," Vanessa said, her voice dripping with faux sympathy. "And your dad and I have been talking. We want to start fresh." Fresh. She meant she wanted to erase everything that had anything to do with my mom. I begged. I pleaded. I reminded my dad that my mom's will had stated she wanted the house to stay in the family. But Vanessa was ready. She had convinced my dad that it was only fair that the house be in her name. After all, she was his wife now. And just like that, the house wasn't just up for sale, it was sold. To them. They transferred ownership to Vanessa, renovated it, and threw a huge housewarming party as if my childhood had never existed. That's when I decided, if they wanted to pretend I never existed, I'd make sure they never forgot me. The plan: I work in finance. Specifically, I work with foreclosures. I know how to read paperwork. I know how to find loopholes. And most importantly, I know how greedy people can be. Vanessa wanted a house with a big open floor plan, a pool, and modern fixtures. But my dad? He wasn't rich. The only way they could afford the renovations was through loans. A lot of loans. I started digging. Turns out, Vanessa took out a massive loan against the house. But, and this is important, she wasn't good with money. She had taken out loans using both her and my dad's names, then refinanced twice, using the newly renovated home as collateral. On paper, they looked like they were thriving. In reality, they were drowning in debt. And the best part? The bank didn't care that my dad had been on the original mortgage. The house was in her name. If she defaulted, the house would be foreclosed. So, I waited. And then it happened. Vanessa, ever the financial genius, missed 1, 2, 3 payments. The bank started the foreclosure process. And the housewarming party? Oh, it was the perfect place to deliver the news. The revenge: I showed up uninvited. I was dressed nicely, polite, all smiles. The house was packed with Vanessa's friends, people she wanted to impress. "Surprised to see you here," she said, sipping champagne. "I wouldn't miss it," I said. "This house means a lot to me." She smirked. "Well, it was always meant to be ours." I pulled out the foreclosure notice and placed it gently on the counter. "Enjoy the party," I said. "Because the bank won't be too happy when they see this." The room went silent. Vanessa snatched the papers up, her face turning pale. This isn't." "Oh, it is," I said. "You missed 3 payments. The house is being repossessed." She turned to my dad, panicked. "You said we were fine." My dad looked at her, then at me, then at the papers. And I could see it. The realization. The moment he understood that she had led him straight off a financial cliff. Vanessa started screaming, crying, blaming everyone but herself. But it didn't matter. The house, the one she stole from me, was gone. My dad lost a lot that day. His house, his money, his wife. But me? I walked away with something better. Justice. Vanessa wasn't the type to accept defeat quietly. That much became clear the moment the foreclosure notice hit the table. She snapped. Right there in front of her guests, she threw the papers across the room like they were covered in poison. Her face twisted in rage, her voice rising above the soft jazz playing in the background. "You did this," she spat, pointing at me like I was some kind of criminal. I didn't flinch. I wanted her to feel it. The shock, the loss, the same hollow pit in her stomach that I had felt when I saw the "for sale" sign outside my childhood home. But what I didn't expect, what nobody expected, was my dad's reaction. He didn't yell. He didn't defend her. He just stood there, staring at the notice, his fingers gripping the edge of the counter like the world was tilting under his feet. "You said we were fine," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. Vanessa turned to him, her fury switching to desperation in seconds. "We're fine. This is a mistake. It has to be a mistake." I crossed my arms, watching the show. "It's not. The house is scheduled for auction in 60 days. You have about 2 months to pack your things before the bank changes the locks." The silence that followed was delicious. But it wasn't over yet. Not even close. The twist: I should have known Vanessa wouldn't just take her loss and walk away. A few days later, I got a call from my dad. Not a text. Not a voicemail. A call. Which meant he was serious. "I need to talk to you," he said. His voice sounded off. Not angry. Not sad. Just empty. We met at a coffee shop. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair uncombed. This wasn't the man who had once laughed while making pancakes on a Sunday morning. This was someone drowning. "She's leaving me," he said, stirring his coffee even though he hadn't added anything to it. Packed a bag and took off. Said she's staying with a friend. I should have felt satisfied. But instead, I felt something else. Suspicion. "That's it?" I asked. "She just left." He nodded. "She took the jewelry. Some cash. A couple of expensive things. But she didn't take everything. She keeps saying she'll fix this." I frowned. That didn't add up. Vanessa wasn't the kind of person to go down with the ship. If she was leaving, she would have drained my dad dry before she walked out. Unless she had a plan. The setup a week later, my gut feeling was proven right. Dad called me in a panic. Someone broke into the house. I drove over, half expecting to find broken windows, overturned furniture, maybe some valuables missing. Instead, I walked into something much worse. The place was trashed. Not just burglary, trashed. No, this was deliberate. Every cabinet was open, clothes dumped on the floor, shattered plates scattered across the kitchen. Like someone wanted to make a statement. But the worst part? The safe was open. Dad had kept an old safe in his office, nothing fancy, just something he used for important documents. Birth certificates. The deed to the house. Insurance papers. And now it was empty. "She took them," I said. Dad looked at me like I had just told him the sky was falling. "She wouldn't," I turned to him, dead serious. "She would." And she did. He sank onto the couch, his hands over his face. Vanessa wasn't just running. She was covering her tracks. And that meant she wasn't done yet. The next move 2 days later, I got another call. This time, it was from the bank. "You're listed as the secondary contact on your father's mortgage documents, correct?" "Yeah," I said slowly. The woman on the other end cleared her throat. "We need to inform you that there's been an attempt to alter the ownership records on the property. A woman named Vanessa tried to remove your father's name and claim full ownership before the foreclosure could go through." I gripped my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. "She what?" "She provided fraudulent documents," the banker continued. "Forged signatures, fake approval letters. We caught it before anything went through, but we flagged the account for potential fraud. You may need to take legal action." I hung up without saying goodbye. Vanessa wasn't running. She was trying to steal the house back. The confrontation I found her before my dad did. She was staying at a hotel across town, living off the last bit of cash she had left. I knocked on her door. When she opened it and saw me, she actually had the audacity to smile. "Well, if it isn't the family disappointment," she said, leaning against the doorframe. "What do you want?" I didn't waste time. I stepped forward, forcing her to move back and shut the door behind me. "You tried to forge ownership papers," I said. "Did you really think the bank wouldn't notice?" Her smile faltered. "I don't know what you're talking about." I pulled out my phone and showed her the email from the bank. "They flagged the account. They know you faked the documents. This is fraud, Vanessa. Felony fraud. Do you know what happens when you commit fraud against a bank?" Her face drained of color. "You're lying," she whispered. I stepped closer. "Am I?" "Because I've already spoken to the lawyers. They're building a case. You can try to run, but the moment you touch a single dollar in that account, the police will be at your door." She swallowed hard. For the first time, she looked scared. "You thought you could get away with it," I said. "You thought you were the smartest person in the room." I shook my head, almost feeling sorry for her. You lost, Vanessa. I turned to leave. And then she laughed. A low, bitter laugh. You think this is over, she said. You really think I have nothing left? Something in her voice sent a chill down my spine. I turned back. What do you mean? She smiled. A slow, creeping smile that sent every warning bell ringing in my head. Let's just say. She picked up her phone and waved it at me. The house isn't the only thing I got my hands on. And that's when I realized she had more. And whatever it was going to be worse than I ever expected. I walked out of that hotel room with my heart pounding. She wasn't bluffing. Vanessa might have been a fraud, a liar, and an all-around snake, but she wasn't stupid. If she was grinning like that, it meant she had something. The question was, what? I didn't have to wait long to find out. 2 days later, my dad called again. This time, he wasn't panicked. He was furious. She froze my accounts. He snapped the second I picked up. Every single one. The bank says there's a fraud investigation, and now I can't touch my own damn money. I sucked in a sharp breath. That was what she was smiling about. She had moved first. Vanessa had gone to the bank before we could, probably crying her crocodile tears, telling them my dad was the real fraudster. With the right paperwork and the right lies, she had managed to make it look like he was the one stealing from her. And now? Now she had locked down everything. My dad was broke. The foreclosure was still happening, but now he had no way to pay for anything, not even a damn sandwich. And me? I was pissed. The next play, I didn't waste time. I marched straight into the bank, demanding to see the fraud department. The banker, a stiff-looking man in a pressed suit, led me into a small office. The moment I sat down, I went for the throat. My father is not a fraud, I said. Vanessa is. And I have proof. Then, I laid it all out. I showed them the forged mortgage documents, the foreclosure notice, the endless loans Vanessa had pulled out behind my dad's back. I even pulled up text messages where she admitted to lying about the house. The banker's expression shifted from polite neutrality to concern. You're saying Vanessa committed financial fraud on multiple accounts? He asked. Yes, I said. And now she's trying to make my dad look like the criminal so she can get away with it. He nodded slowly, processing. If what you're saying is true, this could be serious. We'll need to launch an internal review. No, I interrupted. You need to unfreeze my dad's accounts now. He has no access to his own money. That's financial abuse. The banker hesitated. But then I played my trump card. You might want to check Vanessa's accounts, I said, my voice calm but firm. I have a feeling you'll find some irregularities. The bigger crime turns out I was right. 2 days later, the bank called back. And this time, they were the ones panicking. Vanessa hadn't just been messing with my dad's money. She had been messing with everyone's. She had multiple credit cards under fake names. Several fraudulent loans that were tied to other people's accounts. And the best part? She had been transferring money overseas. That wasn't just fraud. That was serious fraud. The kind that gets federal agencies involved. And just like that, Vanessa went from being a greedy, manipulative stepmother to being an international financial criminal. The trap closes. The bank didn't just unfreeze my dad's accounts. They launched a full-scale fraud investigation into Vanessa. And the moment they did that, everything started unraveling. Her credit cards got shut down. Her hotel charged her extra for fraud concerns. And within 24 hours, she had nowhere to run. That's when she called me. I stared at my phone as her name flashed across the screen. I let it ring. Then I let it ring again. Finally, I picked up. You did this, she hissed before I could even say hello. I leaned back in my chair, smiling. Did I? Or did you do it to yourself? She was breathing hard, like she was trying to keep herself from screaming. You don't understand. You think this is over, but you don't know what's coming. Enlighten me. She paused. Then, in a voice so low it sent chills down my spine, she said, check your own accounts. And then she hung up. The final betrayal. I pulled up my banking app. Everything looked normal. Savings, checking, even my investments. No strange transactions. No missing money. And then I saw it. A pending loan application. In my name. For over $100,000. I went cold. Vanessa had used my identity. She wasn't just trying to ruin my dad. She was trying to take me down with her. And I had no idea how deep this went. I sat there staring at my phone, my heart pounding in my ears. A pending loan application. In my name. For over $100,000. Vanessa had crossed a new line. She wasn't just taking from my dad anymore. She was coming after me. I scrambled to check my credit. Multiple inquiries. 2 new accounts I had never opened. She had stolen my identity. The confrontation. I didn't wait. I didn't think. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to my dad's house. No, Vanessa's house, technically. The door was unlocked. Inside, the place was a wreck. Boxes half-packed, furniture covered in sheets. She was leaving fast. And there she was, standing in the kitchen, shoving stacks of papers into a bag. Going somewhere? I asked. She spun around, startled. Then, just as quickly, she smoothed out her face and smiled like nothing was wrong. You really shouldn't be here, she said, her voice calm. I took a step closer. You stole my identity. She sighed, like I was bothering her. I borrowed it. Borrowed? I left. Borrowed? You applied for $100,000 loan in my name. What were you planning to do, run off and leave me to deal with the debt? Her face darkened. You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you won, but you don't even know what game you're playing. I clenched my fists. You ruined my dad's life, and now you're trying to ruin mine. Why? What the hell do you even get out of this? She tilted her head, her smile growing wider. Because I can. The sheer arrogance in her voice made my blood boil. She was proud of this, of the damage she had done. And then my dad walked in. The ultimate betrayal. He froze when he saw us. What's going on? Vanessa didn't even hesitate. She turned to him, crocodile tears in her eyes. He's accusing me of stealing from him, John, she whimpered. After everything we've been through. I whipped around. Are you kidding me? She applied for loans in my name. She stole from me, Dad. My dad's eyes darted between us, his face pale. Vanessa, is that true? She sniffled, shaking her head. Of course not. He's just trying to get revenge because he never accepted me as part of this family. I stared at her in disbelief. Part of this family? You stole our house, drained our accounts, and now you're committing identity fraud. You're not family, you're a goddamn criminal. And that's when she snapped. OH, spare me, she shrieked, throwing her bag down. You think you're so righteous, don't you? Like you're the hero in some story. But let me tell you something, kid, this house? This money? Your dad? They were mine the second I walked through that door. My dad flinched like she had slapped him. You tricked me, he muttered. His voice was hoarse, like he was finally realizing it. Vanessa's eyes flickered, just for a second. John, baby, stop. His voice was cold now. I believed you. I trusted you. And you took everything. Her face twisted in frustration. Oh, grow up, John. You're an old man who couldn't see what was right in front of you. You were easy. That house? That money? It should have been mine. If I have to take down your brat to get it, so be it. Silence. Cold. Heavy. My dad closed his eyes. Then, slowly, he turned to me. Call the police. Vanessa lunged for him. John, don't you dare. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. She must have realized it was over because she ran. She bolted for the front door, but she wasn't fast enough. The cops showed up within minutes. She screamed. She cursed. She threatened to take us all down. But none of it mattered. She was arrested on the spot. The fallout in the weeks that followed, everything came crashing down. The fraud? The stolen money? The forged signatures? It was all laid out in court. Vanessa had been scamming people for years. My dad wasn't her first victim, just her most gullible one. She faced multiple charges: identity theft, fraud, financial abuse. The best part? The house, our house, was repossessed before she could do anything with it. And my dad? He lost a lot that day. His savings. His dignity. The illusion that the woman he loved had ever actually loved him back. But for the first time in years, he saw the truth. And so did I.